Hello, I'm Scott Brady with Expedition Portal, and this is part 2 of our GMC AT4 build. Now what you see behind me, it's the same truck as before, but it now has a Scout camper on the top. And this was the camper that I chose myself. We were not sponsored this camper, we paid for it because it's the unit that we wanted, because I wanted a 4-season camper that was gonna be able to be durable enough for backcountry travel and then come in at under 1,200 pounds. So once you take the jacks off of the camper and you remove a lot of the accessories, you can actually get this camper down to 1,100 pounds, which is where I needed it to be for the payload of the Sierra. Now, what makes this camper durable is its composite construction and reinforced aluminum corners. We'll show you all the goodies on the inside in a few minutes, but it really is a proper overland camper that can handle backcountry rough travel. So now let's take a look at the inside of the Scout camper. Now, the main reason why I selected this camper was because of interior space. I wanted to be able to work in the field and remotely. I wanted to stay out for really long periods of time, which is why I wanted the biggest camper that I could for this particular vehicle. At the back of the camper, when you first come in through the entry door, is actually where you would do your showering. So there's a shower curtain that drops down, which we'll show you, and then there is a drain pan in the floor. The other thing that's nice about it being right here in the entryway is when you shower, you actually get rid of all the dirt. All the dirt gets washed down and out in through the drain, and it cleans up the interior entryway. Also in the interior entryway is where the toilet is. Now you can specify a Thetford style toilet, or I went with a Nature's Head, which installs very easily. It's a composting style toilet. The urine is separate from the feces, so you can drain the urine a couple times during the week, and then you only need to clean out the feces like once a month. So it's a really easy system to maintain, and it also doesn't require so many accesses to like backcountry toilets or to bathrooms in gas stations, etc., to drain the Thetford style. So I really like the Nature's Head. It's a fairly expensive unit, so that's the only downside at about $900. It has a drop-down cover, which you can use as a storage platform, and that's pretty useful. And then behind that is where I keep a lot of the showering things. So I use the Nemo shower. You just create some internal pressure, pour in a liter or so of hot water into regular water, and then you've got a shower easily for 2 people. And then above that is where the wardrobe. So I keep jackets hung up here, and I just also keep a bag that I can haul into a hotel, or if I need to travel by air, I've also got a bag I can do that with. It's also where we keep our WeBoost. So I mounted a WeBoost system, which amplifies the cellular signal, and it'll work on Verizon, AT&T, any of those systems. Makes a big difference making calls and accessing data out in the field. And on this side is just additional storage. I happen to use it for keeping all the dry goods. And then I also have an espresso coffee maker in here. Coffee's an important part of travel. So this is the extent of the galley over here. For water, it's just a 5-gallon Lifesaver jerry can. It pressurizes at the top, and then you can open up this valve, and then you have a spray nozzle that you can use to spray down the contents of the sink, or I will even use it on a hot summer day. I'll use this as the shower. So the reason why this kind of water system is really beneficial is there's nothing to do to winterize it. You just undo these 2 securing points here, and then you can remove the water tank and take it out of the vehicle. And that's the full extent of what you have to do for winterizing. It also keeps the weight of the camper very low, makes you a little more mindful of the water that you use. And you can take water from any source because this is also a filter. So it'll filter 10,000 liters of water over its lifetime. All right, so under the galley is some basic storage. I keep spices and cups and other sundries. And then what I use for a stove is just a simple snow peak. They call it a Baja burner. It's a very simple system that you just put out on the countertop. And then I've got a stove. I don't like keeping a large stove in place because I want this to be useful for other things. It really is helpful to have all this counter space. So this is the full extent of what I would use for cooking or for heating water for showering. All right, and then up top here we have a single 12-volt fan. So this closes the lid, that opens it up, and then a single button push, and you're now drawing air. So a fan like that is critical because you want to be able to extract smell of food when you're cooking inside the camper. And then when it's a warmer day, what I'll do is I'll close all the windows and then just crack the skylight, and that pulls cool air in right over the bed, so it improves things for sleeping. And I've also got another little solution that I'll use for hot weather sleeping that I'll show you in a second. All right, so I used a Dometic CFX 55. This is a little bit smaller unit than the Scouts normally come with because I wanted to keep the weight to a minimum. So this only weighs 47 pounds, which, being payload sensitive with this truck, I wanted it to weigh the smallest amount possible. Still plenty of room on the inside. And it also will freeze and make ice, which is great. So when it does get a little bit hotter, what I will use is this Zero Breeze air conditioner. It's an actual air conditioner, and it will blow cold air out of this single vent. Now, it is really only intended to cool a very small area. So at night, for example, I can have it blowing out over the bed, and it does make a big difference just getting to sleep. On the provided battery, it'll run for about 4 hours. If I hook it into the Goal Zero, it'll run all night. I use the fireplace exhaust to exhaust the hot air from the air conditioning right out of the camper. So it does make a big difference. It's a small unit, doesn't weigh too much. This is the dinette that they provide with the camper. I think that the dinette is actually a little bit small, even for one person trying to work here and keeping some devices. It's barely enough space. It's definitely too small for two people. So I'd like to see it about maybe 30% wider in this area. I think that would make a big difference, especially if you got more than one or two people in the camper. But this table does come off, and it makes for the base for a bed here in the dinette area. So if you're bringing along a kid, easily would fit in that spot. And then behind me here is the Dickinson fireplace. Now, this is one of the reasons why I bought the camper, because I think this is just such a cool thing. I have a love for sailing as well, and these things are really popular in sailboats. So they're propane fired. You actually get a real flame behind this glass door, and then there's a fan that blows across these metal surfaces and fills this cabin full of plenty of heat. I've used it a bunch of times, really comfortable. And then you end up with that fireplace inside your own camper, which is a very cool and different way to approach that. And of course, one of the most important things of any camper is where you sleep, because that's one of the big advantages of hauling a heavy camper around is a comfortable bed. Now, this has a 4-inch mattress. The whole sleeping surface will actually slide out about 6 inches towards the galley, and that makes room for a queen-size bed. I normally keep it pushed back, and then that way it's more than enough room for 1 or 2 people to sleep. You can sleep with it extended in the north-south configuration if you're a little bit shorter, or for like me at 6'1", I need to sleep in the east-west configuration, which is super comfortable. So it's a very comfortable bed. I'd like to see a little bit more headroom, but that's the limitations of a camper like this. So let's talk real quick about the power system in the Scout. It uses a Goal Zero 1500X Yeti. So it's got plenty of power for kind of day-to-day operations as long as you're getting good solar. We're getting about 180 watts max out of this solar panel on the top. I can easily see 120, 140 out of the panel, even on the indicator here. Now it provides 120 volt output, so you can run, not in my case, but you could run a hairdryer, or you could run a hot plate, something like that. And then you can also run USB-C, standard USB, and 12 volt outlets. The rest of the camper runs on 12 volts. So I've got the fridge plugged in, and then I also have this PowerWorks indicator that allows me to see exactly how many amps are being drawn by the 12 volt system at any one time. Gives me a little indicator backup to this main panel. But it's actually proven to be an effective system. A lot of times these campers come with too complex of battery units, and this is working great. It's just working perfect for what I need. I've considered adding a little bit more capacity, maybe going with my own built-in system, maybe using Red Arc or something, which I may consider in the future. But so far, I think for the average camper, this is just fine. So the nice thing about a Scout, there's really not much to it. There's two exterior storage compartments. There's this long one along the back here. There's a magnet that keeps it up in place. I keep chairs here, other light items. I keep an extra 5 gallons of water, and I keep my Max Tracks in there as well. Very simple, easy to keep it all organized. And then this forward cabinet is for propane. I actually only keep one propane bottle in here when I'm doing shorter camping trips to save weight. But when I am doing a longer trip, then I will add the second propane bottle in here. But it'll run for days with the heater just off this one bottle. All right, let's go through conclusions on the AT4 GMC and the Scout Kenai camper. On the truck, there are a couple things that I love about it. The drivetrain, again, is my favorite part. Straight 6 turbo diesel, 10-speed automatic, plenty of power, super easy to drive on road and off, and also very comfortable, so you get good ride quality out of it. And I also, overall, I really like just the way that the truck drives for a full size. Capable on the trail, still really sure-footed on the road. Now let's talk about some of the concerns around the truck with a large camper like this. We're getting right to the limits of payload. So I've had to be very creative about having the camper be as light as possible and also removing things from the truck that gave me back additional payload, like the tailgate and even the rear seat and other things that I've done to try to minimize the weight of the truck. I've also found that the leading edge of the bed with a camper this size needs to be reinforced. I was getting a little bit of dimpling along that leading edge from the camper and flex. So I'm gonna build out an angle iron reinforced with a backing plate that'll allow plenty of stability and strength for this camper going forward. I also found that when I remove the tailgate in the rear, I lose all of the cameras in the systems. Not only the rear tailgate camera, but I lose all 360-degree cameras. There is a way around that, and so there's a wiring harness and a camera you can buy from GMC that'll allow you to bring all that functionality back in. Now, let's talk about the pros on the camper. I love the simplicity and the minimalism of it. It's the reason why I wanted to buy it in the first place, and has lived up to my expectations. I've not had any failures in this camper. Simple, and it's proven to be true to that purpose. I also like the fact that it's a very durable construction. Composite walls, reinforced metal corners, strong bonding between all of those. We've not had any failures in the structure of the camper itself. And I also like the fact that the camper is really supremely comfortable. With it being hard-sided, you close up all the windows and turn on a fan, and you get a lot of white noise. Even if you're parked along the side of a road, you can hardly hear the traffic going by when you're inside. It's got a 4-inch thick mattress, queen-size bed, lots of space, stand-up shower. We've got a Nature's Head toilet, so lots of features that make it very comfortable. On the cons, I'd like to see the table be larger. The table needs to be about 1/3 again as wide as it is to allow for 2 people to eat comfortably at it, additional space for working, and if you want to have guests here in the dinette as well. I'd also like to see a different solution for the water system. The Lifesaver jerry can on its side like that, I'm just getting pretty regular leaking out of it, and it's taken a lot of work to get it to be serviceable in the field. And then the last thing is I'd like to see a little more airflow above the bed. I'd like to see some cross-flow ventilation or maybe a vent fan above the bed so that you can pull some airflow through the other windows into the sleeping area for more comfort on those warm nights. But overall, what a fun vehicle and a fun camper, and I can't wait to get it more out in the field.